Welcome to the KEP Knowledge English Podcast. I'm your host, James Rivers, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this journey of learning and discovery.
And I'm Sophia Wells. Whether you're looking to improve your English skills or dive into insightful discussions on a range of topics, you're in the right place.
Here on KEP, we explore everything from language learning tips to thought provoking conversations that will challenge your perspective and expand your knowledge.
Each episode will bring you fresh insights, practical advice, and a little bit of fun along the way. So grab your headphones and let's get started.
This is KEP Knowledge English Podcast. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. It's so good to have you here with us tonight. We've got something super important to talk about today. Negative emotions. The ones that sneak up on you and ruin your mood in an instant. Whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, or just feeling overwhelmed, we all experience it.
Oh, totally. Negative emotions are kind of like that one uninvited guest at a party, right? They just show up when you least expect it, and suddenly everything feels a little off.
Exactly. It's easy to let those emotions take control, but here's the thing. We can't let them dictate how we feel for long periods of time. It's like when you're driving and you hit a pothole, you feel the bump, but you can't let it ruin the whole journey, right?
Oh, I like that analogy. It's so true. Sometimes we get stuck in that pothole and it feels like we can't get out. But the real challenge is learning how to keep driving smoothly, even when the bumps come along.
Right. And here's the thing. A lot of times we're so caught up in our emotions that we forget we have the power to change our mindset. I mean, it's natural to feel upset, but what if I told you that you don't have to stay upset for hours or days?
Oh, don't tease me now. I've definitely been there, feeling like the world's about to end because I can't control my frustration. And the longer you stay in that negative space, the more it feels like you're sinking, right?
Absolutely. That's why today we're going to talk about three super practical ways to deal with negative emotions. And the best part, they're simple, relatable, and can make a real difference in how you handle those tough moments. You don't need to be a monk in a temple to try them out. Anyone can do it.
I'm all about that. I need real life solutions that don't take hours of meditating to figure out. We're all busy, and sometimes you just need a quick fix to help you feel better and not let the negativity take over.
For sure. And before we dive in, I want to make one thing clear. There are a lot of deep techniques out there. Things like mindfulness, meditation, yoga, or even just taking some time to breathe. Those are definitely the gold standards, and I highly recommend them for long term peace of mind. But let's be real. Most people aren't just going to sit down and meditate for hours when they're furious, right?
Exactly. When I'm angry, the last thing I'm thinking about is sitting cross legged and humming, more like venting to my best friend or going for a run.
And that's exactly why today we're going to focus on simple, actionable things you can do right now to handle those emotions. We all have the power to turn things around in the moment. It's just about finding what works best for us in those moments of stress. So let's get into it.
I love it. Let's take charge and get out of that emotional pothole before we're stuck there for too long. First up, we've got a really cool technique to release your anger without damaging your relationships. Ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's dive in and get our hands dirty with some real solutions. Stick with us, everyone. We're about to share some techniques that will help you feel lighter and more in control. All right, let's kick things off with our first technique, releasing negative energy constructively. When life throws you those curveballs and suddenly you're hit with a wave of anger, frustration, or just plain negativity,
Oh, I've been there. You're having a perfectly normal day, and out of nowhere, you feel this surge of emotion, right? Like a volcano just waiting to erupt. It's like the smallest thing sets you off, and suddenly you're in a full blown emotional storm.
Correctly. And when that happens, most of us get this urge to just explode. We feel this need to shout, yell, or snap at someone. But here's the thing, releasing that energy in a way that doesn't hurt anyone else is key. And it's a lot more effective than you might think.
I mean, we've all been there. You feel like you're about to burst, and you know that if you don't get it out, it's going to just keep bubbling under the surface, right?
Right. It's almost like when you're shaking a bottle of soda and at some point it's going to pop. The trick is knowing how to release the pressure without making a mess everywhere.
I love that analogy. You don't want to shake up that bottle and then pour it all over your friends, family, or coworkers. You got to find a way to let it out safely, right?
Exactly right. And that's where this first technique comes in. It's all about releasing the energy in a controlled, safe space. So, let's say you're angry at someone, maybe a colleague or a family member. You feel that rage starting to build. Instead of taking it out on them, imagine this. You create a mental space, a safe zone, where you can let it all out without causing harm.
Oh, I love this. So it's like a mental venting session. You get to say everything you need to say, but no one's around to catch the fallout. Just you, your thoughts, and some good old mental purging.
That's so true. And the beauty of this is that it's all happening in your mind, so you don't risk saying something you'll regret later. For example, let's say you've had an argument with a friend or a partner. Instead of lashing out at them in the heat of the moment, you find a quiet place, a bathroom, your car, wherever you can be alone, and let yourself really feel the anger.
I can totally see that. Sometimes we just need to get that frustration out, like really get it out without worrying about the consequences. So, what's the next step once you're alone and ready to let it out?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Once you're alone, imagine the person you're angry with in front of you. You're not actually confronting them. No yelling, no fighting. But in your mind, you're going to let it all out. Say all the things you've been holding back. Express your anger and frustration. Let it flow.
That sounds so freeing. You're basically giving yourself permission to vent without hurting anyone else. So it's like you're releasing that pressure, but keeping it all in your own personal space. I'm sold. This sounds amazing.
It really works. I've done this myself. When I feel overwhelmed or angry, I mentally picture the person I'm upset with, and I let all those words come out in my head. And you know what happens? It's like a weight lifts off my shoulders.
That's so good to hear. I can imagine that after you've mentally unloaded, you feel a sense of relief, right? Like you don't have to carry that emotional baggage around with you anymore.
Exactly. After I've done this mental release, I feel so much lighter. I can almost feel the anger draining away. And it's not like I'm pretending the issue doesn't exist. It's just that I've found a healthy way to deal with it before it spills over into my actions or words.
I love that. It's all about giving yourself that space to feel without causing damage. So, James, how long do you usually do this for? Is there a sweet spot in terms of time?
Great question. For me, I'd say around 10 minutes does the trick. I'll get into the zone, picture the person, and just let my thoughts and frustrations run wild. And then, as the mental intensity fades, I know I'm done. I'm emotionally drained, but in a good way. Almost like I've just had a deep cleansing cry.
Yes, it's like the emotional equivalent of a good workout. You're drained, but you feel lighter afterward. And the beauty of this technique is that you can do it anywhere. You don't need a therapist, you don't need a special setting, just you, your thoughts, and a few minutes of mental space.
That's right. And let's be clear, this isn't about avoiding the real issue or pretending everything's fine. It's about acknowledging the anger or frustration, letting it out in a way that doesn't harm anyone, and then moving on. It helps you regain control over your emotions before they control you.
And I think it's really important to point out that not letting out your emotions is what can cause damage. If you bottle everything up, it just builds up until it explodes at the worst possible moment. So, this technique is really about giving yourself permission to feel without letting it wreck your life.
That's exactly it. And once you practice this a few times, you'll start to see just how effective it can be. You'll start feeling more in control of your reactions and less at the mercy of your emotions. It's like learning to handle the storm without letting it drown you.
So true. And I'm sure many of our listeners are thinking, I'll try it the next time I'm about to blow up. And you should. This really works. Now, don't just take our word for it. Give it a try for yourself and see how much lighter you feel after you've done this mental venting.
Absolutely. Give it a shot the next time you're in a tense situation and let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear your experiences. And remember, this is just the first technique. We've got more powerful strategies coming your way.
Oh, I can't wait. So, to wrap up this first technique, find that quiet space, picture the person or situation you're angry about, and let it all out in your mind. It's a safe, effective way to release that energy without hurting anyone else. Simple, right?
Simple, but powerful. All right, let's move on to the second technique, but I think we've given our listeners a solid starting point here. Ready for more?
Bring it on, James. Let's keep this conversation going.
All right, now we're moving on to the second technique, and this one is something I personally swear by: physical activity. When negative emotions start to build up, one of the best ways to release that energy is through movement.
Oh, you're speaking my language. When I'm frustrated, I'm not just sitting around waiting for my emotions to magically vanish. I get up and do something physical. Whether it's running, dancing, or even just going for a walk, moving my body always helps me feel better.
Totally, it's like hitting the reset button for your body and mind. Think about it. When we're upset, stressed, or angry, we're carrying around all this tension, right? Our muscles get tight, our heart rate increases, and our mind races. But when you start moving, it's like you're physically shaking off all that built up energy.
Yes, it's like a built in release valve for all that pressure. I remember last year I was having one of those really rough weeks. I was stressed at work, arguing with a friend. I just felt like I couldn't catch a break. But instead of letting it all sit inside me, I went for a run.
And how did you feel afterward?
Oh man, it was like night and day. The first few minutes were tough. I was so mad I could hardly focus. But then, after a while, I started to feel the anger melt away. By the time I finished my run, I felt so much better. It was like the frustration had been flushed out of me with every step.
That's exactly it. It's like your body starts to process those emotions. The physical movement helps to release the energy that's been trapped in your muscles and your mind. And it doesn't have to be a hardcore workout either. It's not about running a marathon, it's about finding something that works for you.
Absolutely. For me, sometimes it's just going for a long walk. I don't have to go fast or do anything intense, but getting outside and moving around helps me clear my head. And honestly, it's a great excuse to just get away from whatever's stressing me out for a bit.
Yep, and the great thing about physical activity is that it doesn't only help with the emotional stuff, it's a two-for-one deal. You're not only releasing tension, but you're also doing something good for your health. It's a win-win.
Oh, totally. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much tension they're holding on to until they actually move. Have you ever had one of those days where your back is super tight and you didn't even notice until you stretched or went for a walk?
I definitely have. And it's always such a surprise how much better you feel once you start moving. It's like you didn't realize how much you were carrying around until you let go of it.
Yeah, and the best part is that any kind of movement can help. It doesn't have to be a marathon or hitting the gym. You could even do some yoga or go for a bike ride. The point is to get your body moving in a way that feels good to you.
That's right. And what's awesome about physical activity is that it gives you a sense of control over your emotions. Instead of just reacting to the stress or anger, you're taking proactive steps to deal with it. You're redirecting that energy into something positive.
And I've got to say, James, it's not just the cardio stuff that works. For me, lifting weights has been a game changer. When I'm mad or stressed, hitting the gym and pushing through some sets can make me feel like I'm getting my power back. It's a great way to channel that energy and focus it somewhere productive.
That's a great point, Sophia. Strength training can be incredibly cathartic. You're physically challenging yourself, and at the same time, you're releasing all that pent up frustration. It's like you're showing your body who's in charge.
You're right. And you don't even have to go to the gym. You can do body weight exercises at home like push ups, squats, or planks. All you need is a little space and some motivation.
And you can even make it fun. Dance, for example. I've done this a few times when I'm really stressed. I'll put on a song I love and just dance around the living room. It might sound silly, but it works. It's an instant mood booster, and it feels like you're releasing all that frustration in a really fun way.
I'm picturing you dancing in your living room, James. But hey, it works. Dancing is such a great way to shake things off. Plus, music always helps set the mood. You could make a playlist of songs that make you feel empowered or calm, and whenever you're stressed, just turn it on and let loose.
I'm telling you, it's one of the easiest ways to shift your energy. The rhythm, the movement, the music, it all helps to break up those negative patterns and reset your mood.
I'm with you on that one. And you know what else? Sometimes it's just about making a habit of moving when you're stressed. It's easy to fall into the trap of sitting still, overthinking, and letting that frustration build. But if you start to associate physical activity with releasing negativity, it becomes second nature.
Right. If you've got a routine of going for a walk when you're feeling off, you'll start reaching for it without even thinking. It becomes your go to method for releasing that stress.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is that there are so many ways to do it. Whatever works for you, whether it's jog, a bike ride, yoga, or even just walking, it all helps to release that negativity.
And it doesn't have to be long either. A quick 10-minute walk or stretching session can make a world of difference. You'd be amazed how much lighter you feel after just a short burst of activity.
Absolutely. So, if you're listening and you're feeling stuck in that negative headspace, just get moving. It's simple, effective, and it works. Trust me, your body and mind will thank you.
That's right. Don't underestimate the power of physical activity to shift your energy. It's a game changer for sure.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you'll go from angry to happy in 2 minutes, but you'll definitely feel the difference after you've moved around a bit. And the best part, it's something you can do anywhere, anytime.
Spot on. So, give it a try the next time you're feeling overwhelmed or upset. Take a walk, do some stretches, or dance like no one's watching. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel.
We've covered a lot today, but remember, this is just one of the tools you can use to break free from that negativity. There's more to come, so stick with us.
All right, now we're moving into our third technique for handling negative emotions, identifying and turning off the source. This one's about taking control of your environment. And let's face it, sometimes the source of our stress or frustration is something or someone right in front of us.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of times we get so wrapped up in the emotions we're feeling that we forget to look at where they're coming from. It's like being in a room filled with smoke and not realizing the fire is right next to you.
That's a great way to put it, Sophia. We often focus on the smoke, the feelings, but we don't always take the time to identify the fire, the root cause. So, what's the first thing we should do when we feel that negativity building up?
Well, the first step is to take a moment and ask yourself, what's triggering me right now? What is it that's making you angry, frustrated, or anxious? Is it a person, a situation, a task you've been avoiding? Identifying that root cause is step one.
Right. Sometimes it's hard to figure it out, especially if it feels like everything is coming at you at once. But once you pinpoint what's really bugging you, you're one step closer to dealing with it. It's kind of like playing detective with your own emotions.
Yes, emotional detective. I think we've all been in those moments where we feel off but can't really pinpoint why. That's when it's time to step back and do a little investigation. Ask yourself, what happened right before I started feeling like this?
Definitely. It could be something as simple as a conversation that didn't go well, or maybe you're dealing with a bigger issue like work stress or tension in a relationship. Once you recognize the source, you can start thinking about how to handle it.
And here's the tricky part. Once you know what the source is, you have to make a choice. Can you change it, or do you need to distance yourself from it? Sometimes the source of our negativity is something we can control, but other times it's something we can't.
Great point. If you can change it, if it's something like a task you've been procrastinating on or a conversation you need to have, then do something about it. Taking action, even small steps, can help reduce the power that source has over you.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Procrastination can be such a huge source of stress. You think, I'll just put it off for one more day. But then one more day turns into a week. And before you know it, you're drowning in stress because you didn't deal with it when you could have.
You're right. And here's the thing, every time you procrastinate, you're actually letting the stress grow. So when you identify that the source is something you can control, tackle it head on. Even if you don't finish the whole task, starting it can break that cycle of avoidance and reduce the negative feelings.
Yeah, it's like ripping off a band-aid, right? It's painful at first, but once it's done, you feel so much better. But what about when the source of your stress is something you can't just change immediately, like a difficult boss or a relationship that's on the rocks?
That's where it gets tricky. If you can't change the source, the best option might be to take a step back and distance yourself from it, even temporarily. Sometimes we need to create emotional space in order to gain perspective and prevent the negativity from building up.
Well, I've definitely been in situations where I couldn't change the people or the environment I was in, so I had to take a breather. I mean, you can't just keep pushing yourself into the fire and expect not to get burned.
Absolutely. You can't always control the people around you, but you can control how much of their negativity you absorb. It's all about setting boundaries. For example, if someone is constantly draining your energy, it might be time to set limits on how much time you spend with them or how much emotional energy you invest.
So true. And that's a tough one, right? Especially when it comes to family or close friends. It's like, how do you tell someone you love that you need a break from them?
It can be hard, for sure, but the key here is not about shutting them out. It's about protecting your emotional health. You can say, I need some space right now, or I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need some time to process things on my own. It's all about making sure you're not absorbing too much negativity.
That's a really good point. Sometimes it's more about protecting yourself from their energy so you don't get pulled into the negativity spiral. And it's okay to take that space. It doesn't mean you don't care, it just means you're looking after yourself.
Exactly. And I think it's important to remember that taking space doesn't always mean cutting people out of your life. Sometimes it just means temporarily stepping away so you can recharge and come back with a clearer mind.
And this doesn't just apply to people. If the source of your negativity is a job you're not happy with or a situation you can't change overnight, the same thing applies. Create some emotional distance from it. It's not about ignoring the problem, it's about taking a break so you can think more clearly about how to handle it.
Right. And sometimes it's just about recognizing that you don't have to engage with everything that's negative. You don't need to let every stressful situation consume your thoughts. You can acknowledge it, deal with it when you're ready, and then put it aside for a while.
That's a huge point. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to just not engage. Not everything deserves your emotional energy. And when you realize that, it's like you've unlocked a new level of peace.
Yeah. So, to summarize this third technique, first, identify the source of your negative emotions. Is it something you can change? If so, take action. If it's something you can't control right now, give yourself permission to create space between you and that source, even if just temporarily.
Yeah, it's all about being proactive in managing your environment and your emotional well being. You have the power to set boundaries and decide what you allow into your life. It's about being mindful of what's draining you and what's adding value to your energy.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Sophia. So, next time you're feeling overwhelmed or upset, take a moment to ask yourself, what's triggering me? And how can I either change it or distance myself from it?
Trust me, it makes a huge difference, and I think our listeners will see the benefits of applying this technique too. It's empowering to know that you have the tools to take control of your emotions.
Absolutely. All right, now that we've covered the third technique, let's take a deep breath, folks, because we've got one more powerful strategy coming up to help you master your emotions. So, there you have it. Three powerful techniques to help you manage negative emotions. We've talked about releasing that negative energy constructively, using physical activity to shake it off, and identifying the source of your emotions so you can either change or distance yourself from it. But here's the thing, none of this is magic, it's all about practice.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's not like you're going to walk away from this episode and suddenly be a Zen master, right? These techniques are amazing, but they're like any other skill. You've got to work at them. It's all about consistency.
Great. It's like learning a new instrument. At first, it feels awkward, and you might not even know where to start. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The same goes for managing your emotions. Over time, these techniques become second nature.
Yeah, it's about building habits. You don't just wake up one day and suddenly stop getting angry. But if you start practicing these strategies consistently, you'll notice a huge difference in how you handle things. It's like conditioning your brain to respond differently.
And it's important to remember that it's okay if you don't get it right every single time. Some days will be easier than others, and that's totally fine. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every time you catch yourself in a negative emotion and handle it differently, that's a win.
That's a huge point. Don't beat yourself up if you slip up. I mean, we're human. Emotions are powerful and sometimes they can take us by surprise. The key is recognizing when they're taking over and applying these techniques as soon as you can.
Right. And the more you apply these techniques, the faster you'll bounce back when negative emotions arise. Eventually, you'll catch yourself in the middle of a frustration and say, wait a minute, I've got this. I know exactly what to do.
Exactly. And that's when you really start seeing the shift. It's not about avoiding negative emotions, they're going to happen, but it's about how you respond to them. It's about taking back control instead of letting those emotions control you.
Yes, and it's empowering to know that you have the tools to manage your emotions instead of letting them manage you. And these tools, they're available to you anytime. All you need is a few minutes to reset, breathe, and realign.
Totally. I mean, think about it. You can't control everything that happens in life, but you can control how you react. That's what these techniques help you do. They give you the power to respond in a healthier, more balanced way.
That's the key. You're taking charge of your emotional health, and that's a gift to yourself. The more you practice, the more resilient you'll become when life throws those curveballs at you.
And let's not forget, this is all about self care. Managing your emotions is a form of caring for yourself. The better you are at handling negative emotions, the better you'll feel overall. You'll be calmer, more focused, and more present.
Correct. And the good news is you don't have to do it alone. There are so many resources out there, whether it's talking to a friend, reading books, or even seeking professional help. The more you engage with these strategies, the more you'll find your rhythm.
And one last thing, be kind to yourself during this process. You're learning and you're growing. Don't expect it to happen overnight, but do trust that with practice, it will happen.
So, to wrap up, practice, consistency, and patience are your best friends. These techniques are tools, and over time, they'll become second nature. Life's not perfect, but you can choose how you react, and that's what makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Keep practicing, stay patient with yourself, and remember that you've got this. Every small step you take brings you closer to emotional mastery.
And with that, we'll wrap up today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you're feeling inspired to take control of your emotions and make these strategies work for you.
And remember, every step forward is progress. We'll see you next time, folks. Take care and stay positive.